Hi, this is Ben Eubanks with HR and Lighthouse Research, and we've actually just kicked off this interesting research project on how employers can figure out their compensation practices when they've gotten rid of performance reviews. Right. In the last few years, we've heard more and more companies that are ditching the annual review or trying to move to different types of review processes that are less formal. But the problem is, one of the reasons we have that formal process is so that it enables the compensation planning, compensation decisions, how do we pay people, things like that. And so one of the things that we've heard a lot from organizations in the last year is how to do that, right? There's a lot of questions, there's a lot of curiosity there. And so we kicked off a little research project to explore that, dig into that. We found some interesting things. We did some interviews with companies in a variety of industries, trying to understand what they're doing, how they're approaching it. And so we talked to companies that are, small firms, 1,000, 5,000. We've looked into firms with up to 150,000 employees, trying to understand their practices. And it's interesting because there's a little bit of a range. The most common way employers make those decisions about compensation once they've changed their performance processes to be more frequent, more informal, those kinds of things. The most common way they're doing that is by giving managers a bucket of money and letting them pay it out at their discretion. If Jamie warrants a 10% and Bob warrants a 2%, and that's within the manager's budget, go for it. They have that leeway within that, and then they can make their case if there's something extraordinary, something above and beyond that requires some rewarding or promotions, things like that. But just the average every year we're making a change here, that's the most common way they're doing that, is with a bucket of money under the manager's discretion. The second most common way that we found is that employers are using market rates. They're just going straight to market. They're using that as their go by. They're not rewarding people for performance necessarily, for merit as much, unless they're using promotions and other career pieces to do that. But the core piece of that is they're just going to market rate. The good thing there is that's very easily to defend. That's easily defensible, right? If you are making a lot of decisions as you were in the past that may be biased, it could be problematic. And so they go to market rate. It enables them to just point to that and say, hey, this is the market. That's settled, right? We can't adjust that and change that just because you're a special case or because your manager likes you or any other kind of biases. The downside of that is if you're in a profession, I guess if you have a lot of employees that are in a profession that's fast paced, high growth, a lot of demand, and those pay rates are jumping year after year, that's going to eat up your budget. You've got to think about that piece of it if you decide market rate is your way to go. Again, the most common that we've found so far is that manager discretion. The market rate is the second most common. The last one that we've heard a couple of things about, but I haven't talked to anyone, to be honest. I haven't talked to anyone that's doing this and that's willing to share, and that might be wise. They're not willing to share. But it's this idea of like shadow ratings. Hey, we're getting rid of performance reviews. We're going to trash that. And the next thing they do is they tell managers, hey, you need to be tracking performance on the background. Don't tell anyone what the rating is, but be getting us ratings so we can feed that in and decide what comp decisions, what comp rate someone should earn. So again, it's very interesting to see how people are approaching this, from very transparent all the way to that last one of not transparent at all. But I think the key pieces of this, if you're going to go in this direction and you're going to consider this approach, one of the key things you need to do is make sure that your managers are equipped to have these conversations. Make sure they have the training, make sure they have information on hand, so that when they're talking to their people about compensation, if that manager seems like they're hiding something, even if they're just unsure, right? It's not that they're necessarily doing anything negative on purpose, but if they're unsure and they skirt the issue, that seems shady from the perspective of an employee. So help them, give them the tools, give them the templates, give them the script if you have to, so they can have these dialogues with their employees. That's a key piece of this, regardless of where you go. If you go market rate, they need to be able to explain that. If you go to the manager discretion piece, they should be able to explain what sort of things factor into someone's compensation and why they got a 2 versus a 5 versus an 8% increase for the year. So just some interesting ideas there. We're going to continue to explore this. If you're interested in learning more, you can check out the website, lhra.io for Lighthouse Research, or you can ping me on Twitter @Ben Eubanks, and happy to chat. Thank you.